Let's take a trip to the quiet village of Shani Shingnapur, India. You've heard it's like no other place in the world, and you'll soon find out why. First, you'll fly into New Delhi, the capital city. You land and grab another flight to Pune. It'll take about 2 hours. From there, you hop a train and travel another 4 hours to Rahuri. Finally, a taxi takes you the remaining 17 miles. After a day of traveling, you've reached the destination. It's early in the morning, the sun hasn't even risen yet. You drive through the village, and nothing seems out of the ordinary. But that's when it hits you. There's not a single door or window on any of these buildings. Well, maybe those ones are abandoned, no longer in use. But so many? Have you just arrived in some ghost town? In an instant, all the travel fatigue disappears, like you haven't just overcome thousands of miles and how many different types of transport already. You get out of the taxi and explore the village. You look around and find yourself in the middle of a neighborhood. Or is it? The houses have no doors or windows. There's no way anybody lives here. You walk down the street. Looking around, you can't find any signs of life. Wait, what's that noise? As you approach one of the houses, you hear the knocking more clearly. There's a man outside fixing a table. Now, you can also hear a woman talking and kids playing. The village is waking up. Whew, there are people here. As you venture further, you can see that although the houses don't have doors or windows, people do live here. A family is sitting down to breakfast in that house to the left. You can clearly see into their home. In that one to the right, a man is putting on his sandals, probably about to head to work. Now you enter the market area full of little shops. Some are already working, and the sellers invite you to buy something. But some stores are closed. Well, you wouldn't know it. Stores don't have any doors either. The salesperson isn't in yet, but you can clearly see all the goods sitting in there without any supervision. Did the owners leave their stores like that all night? Something very strange is going on here. You've seen everything. Now it's time to get some answers. You approach an elderly villager. He's probably lived his whole life here. He'll know what's going on. You greet him respectfully, and your curious mind must know, why don't you have any doors, windows, or locks in your village? He raises his deep dark eyes at you and smiles.
Sure, kid. Make yourself comfortable. Legend has it that 300 years ago, a heavy rain and severe flood struck the village. A big slab of black rock washed up on the shore of the Penisnala River that used to flow there at that time. When the storm stopped raging and the villagers finally went outside, they found the rock. They touched the slab with a stick and it started bleeding. Astounded, they left it there. That night, Shani, the most feared deity in Hindu, visited the village's leader in his sleep. He said the rock is his icon and that he'd chosen this village to reside in from now on. He promised to live there and protect the people from any danger, but he had one condition. He ordered them to keep the rock in town, out in the open space, so he could observe the whole village. He forbade building any roofs over the slab. He didn't want to live in a shadow, and because it's so powerful, no roof could possibly stand it. The villagers listened to Shani and did everything he said. The rock was placed on a platform in the heart of the town. The villagers immediately felt protected, having Shani watch over them every second of their lives. They got rid of locks because they were no longer needed. They removed all the doors so that Shani could freely see them. The locals say, just like our homes don't have any doors and are always open, our minds are as well. From then on, they lived in peace under the watchful, protective eye of their guardian. Anyone who attempts theft is said to be punished with blindness, and any other dishonest action would result in a circle of bad luck lasting 7.5 years. The rule is simple. There should be no doors, and this tradition is still going to this day. Many times did Shani show his power. Close to the iconic rock, there stands a tree. Everybody believed that when it grows bigger, the branches will cover the sacred object. But whenever they've grown long enough to shade the rock, the branches would catch fire or break and fall to the ground. When that happened, nobody was ever injured. Another time, there was a wedding. The weather suddenly started raging, and a lightning bolt struck the tree. Nobody was harmed, but the tree burned for 12 hours until there was nothing left to fuel the flames. But the next day, it was all green again. It's been a long time, but the locals still believe in their guardian and live by their traditions. They sleep safe and sound at night in their houses with no doors or locks. You might see a wooden pallet leaning up against a threshold here and there. Don't be fooled, it's not to keep people out, but scavenging animals. Everything inside a home, all the money, jewelry, anything valuable, is left entirely unsecured. And when leaving, no one even asks their neighbors to watch the house, because they know they don't need to. Store owners can go somewhere for a couple of weeks, and they simply leave all their goods on the shelves, perfectly visible and accessible from the outside. But nobody dares to steal. They do have a police station, but since it was built in 2015, it hasn't gotten a single report yet. It's hard to keep the tradition nowadays. All these new norms of the outside world are starting to leak in. The village does have one door. In 2011, they got a bank and it has a glass door, but they say it's never locked. For safety, the bank sends the cash to a neighboring town before it closes for the night. There are skeptics, you know. Some people doubt Shani's powers. They say the village doesn't have crime because it's so remote. Others think that there is crime, but is kept secret to maintain the village's reputation. Most of the locals are determined to follow the tradition and believe in Shani's protection. But some are trying to get permission to put up doors and install locks. Maybe someday, that first person will do it. The next will follow. The new norm will set in, and the age-old tradition will be lost. Or maybe this place will manage to keep its strange but fascinating custom.